And happy Monday, the 8th of March. Thom Hartmann here with you. Greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. An interesting story from today's Financial Times. Hedge funds turn to gold. And I say this not because, a company that sells gold coins is one of our advertisers, although I don't think that that's such a bad idea. Back, 5 years ago or so, Louise and I were looking at the stock market and getting some pretty good advice from some friends of ours who seem to know these things. And they said, get all your investments out of the stock market, get into oil and gold. And we put pretty much everything into that and have done quite well as a consequence of it. Here, the gold bulls, now there's back to saying the same thing. The gold bulls, including David Einer, again, this is not investment advice, please. Founder of hedge fund Greenlight Capital, who last year came under the spotlight as short-selling shares for Lehman Brothers. Other funds looking at gold include Eaton Park and TGX Axon. Investors say their belief is being expressed even as gold sales have retreated. Gold is, in fact, it dropped quite a bit this morning. It's down in the 920s. Very often when I see these drops, I think, boy, this is the system setting up the buying opportunities. But that's just, as I said, this is just my opinion. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and UBS have all forecast gold is going to go above $1,000 this year. Barrick Gold, the chairman of Peter Monk, the chairman of Barrick Gold, the world's largest miner of bullions, says all countries have embarked on policies that will favor gold. Now, what are those policies? I mean, setting aside the whole gold and investment and all that kind of thing, what's going on here? The policies have been to destroy local economies. This, by the way, has been a 28-year program. What we are seeing now, people go, oh, my God, look at this. The economy, the Republicans are all saying, the economy fell apart when Barack Obama was nominated. It must have been, they said, oh, look at that. Black guy gets nominated for U.S. Let's stop investing. No. The reality is very, very simple, very straightforward. For 28 years, the industrial infrastructure of this country, 29 years now, I have to keep, 28 years arguably. Reagan was sworn in January of 1981. For 28 years in this country, conservatives have been, conservative Democrats like Bill Clinton and conservative Republicans like Ronald Reagan and both Bushes, and the conservative Democrats in the legislature and virtually all of the Republicans, because a liberal Republican these days is a dead species, a vanished species. Even a moderate Republican is a rare thing. There's some spin out there that Arlen Specter might be thinking of jumping parties. Boy, would that be a Jim Jeffords moment. But first, let's get Al Franken seated. Then, bang, 60, just like that. In any case, what they're doing is they're destroying wealth, and they're destroying wealth a variety of ways. Wealth is not money, by the way. They're destroying wealth, and they're destroying wealth by nationalizing, internationalizing our economy, by turning the United States into a third world country. You've heard this rant before. Let me just, and so I'm not going to go into a mind-boggling amount of detail with it, but just over the weekend, on Saturday, actually it was Friday afternoon after Louise and I got off the air, we took the train up to Seattle from Portland, and Saturday morning, checked out of the hotel, met some really, really sweet people there, and went on down to the cruise, this cruise that was being put on by Talk 1090, and spent a couple hours cruising around, and on the way back, taking the train back, picked up a copy of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. And, to read in the train station as we were waiting for the train. And here's the headline. County picks highest bid. And you look at this and you think, holy cow, what are they doing with my tax dollars? The county picked the highest bid? How dare they? And, in fact, Gregory Roberts, writing for the PI, and I don't know if Gregory wrote the headline or not, but you see the bias even in the order of information presented. King County, this is the county that is Seattle. And by the way, this is not a Seattle story as much as it's a national story because you're seeing the same kind of crap in the media right across the board. You're seeing it on CNN. You're seeing it on all the major networks. Certainly you've been seeing it on CNBC and Fox forever. Here it is. Despite the gathering budgetary storm, King County last year signed a contract to buy paper clips, envelopes, and other office supplies from the company that quoted the highest prices of the 4 bidders on the items, a decision that could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars over the 5-year deal. So we might spend an extra if I lived in Seattle, we might spend an extra $70,000 or $80,000 a year on office supplies. Might cost the average taxpayer maybe 1/100th of a penny. Sounds like a terrible thing. Why would the county pick the highest bidder? In fact, there's even a right-wing guy who owns an office supply company that didn't bother to bid on this, by the way. Just doing this as a matter of principle, if you want to call it that, who is going after the county, saying that the lowest bidder should have gotten the price. Well, you dig down into the article, you get down to the 3rd paragraph, and you discover that the other companies, the company that got the contract is a company called Economies Office Plus. This is a family-owned office supply company in Seattle. It's been there for 2 generations. They have been serving the county up until this point and doing a marvelous job. Everybody's very, very happy with them. Instant delivery, great products, wide selection, all kinds of things. Just a little bit more expensive. We're talking here not even pennies on the dollar. Why are they a little bit more expensive? It could be because it's a locally owned business. Because the other companies who were bidding were Office Depot, Staples, and Corporate Express. And this right-wing crank who's going after him, he's saying, well, I see no clear reason whatsoever for this contract not to be awarded to Office Depot. This from the owner of another small competing local office supply store who didn't bother to bid on the job. Well, it turns out the bidders, the price wasn't the only basis of the bid. They were awarded points in a whole variety of points, of categories, and Keeney's actually scored the highest number of points, 952. Office Depot only scored 657. One of those points, for example, was you could get 100 points for qualifying as a small contractor and supplier. Office Depot got 0. Keeney's offered a 50-point edge over Office Depot for fully accepting the contract terms proposed by the county, including one that allows the county to cancel the contract. Office Depot said, no, we want to have you by the throat. The county values Keeney's outstanding past performance and cooperation. And by the way, Office Depot is not complaining about the fact that they lost the contract. Now, this is all information that you get on after you turn the page and you read into the 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th paragraphs of the story. Keeney's was founded, in fact, the last paragraph of the story, the company that got the bid, was founded in 1947 by the father of current company president Lisa Keeney McCarthy. She said the small business contracting program benefits the county as a whole, and that Keeney's cooperation with the county on improving procedures will make her deal cheaper than Office Depot's. So, again, the headline on the front page of Saturday's Seattle Post-Intelligencer, County Picks Highest Bid. That headline could just as easily have said, County picks local bidder. Do you get the bizarre bias in this news? The story, county picks local bidder. County supports local business. You know, if you go to a local burger joint and you buy a local burger with your dollar, let's say it's $1, just for the sake of argument, I realize most of them are more, but let's say it's $1. That dollar goes to local suppliers, it goes to local employees, it goes to a local landlord, it goes to local advertisers. That dollar goes into the local economy, and over the course of the next year, that dollar is going to become $1.50, $1.80, $1.90. It actually becomes more money. The profit goes to local owners, and they use that money locally. They spend that money. Their family spends that money. And if they invest that money, more often than not, they invest it locally in their own business because it's a small business. On the other hand, you go to McDonald's and you spend $1, and there's some profit in that. First of all, the suppliers are all out of state. They got this giant, potato franchise. They got these giant beef franchise. It all goes out of state. At the end of every night, a button gets pushed, and all the money gets sucked out of, your little town and goes to Chicago, to the headquarters of McDonald's. You buy something at Wal-Mart, at the end of the night, a button gets pushed, and every single penny gets sucked out and right down to Benton Rock, Arkansas, There's a reason why small is good. There's a reason why when Richard Shelby and a couple of other Republicans over the weekend were saying, you know, maybe we should just let these big banks fail, I was sitting there going, yeah, it sounds like a good plan to me. Let's bust up some of these big companies.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.